Most people think building a serious food stockpile costs a fortune. But what if you could do it for roughly $100 a month, starting this week, with food you can actually find at any store near you? Welcome to my channel. Today we are breaking down 8 essential food categories you need to be adding to your pantry every single month. These are not fancy survival foods. These are not dehydrated astronaut meals. These are real, affordable, practical foods that will quietly build you a serious emergency supply before you even realize how far you have come. Stick around, because by the end of this, you will have a complete monthly shopping plan ready to execute. Let us get one thing straight before we dive in. Prepping does not have to be extreme, it does not have to be stressful, and it absolutely does not have to drain your bank account. The whole point of what we do here is to stockpile smart, stockpile frugally, and do it in a way that makes sense for real-life budgets. Whether you have $100 a month to put toward this, or $50, or even $25, every single dollar you invest in your pantry right now is worth more than almost anything else you could spend it on. Food prices are not going down. Shelf stability is becoming more valuable by the day, and the peace of mind that comes from having a fully stocked pantry, that is genuinely priceless. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to walk through all 8 categories, break down the approximate cost for each one, and give you a clear sense of what you're getting and why it matters. By the time we wrap up, you'll know exactly what to put in your cart next time you walk into a store. Are you ready? Let's start with category number 1. Category 1 is protein. Protein is the cornerstone of any serious food storage plan. Your body cannot function without it. Your muscles need it, your immune system depends on it, and when times get tough, protein is the thing that keeps you feeling full, energized, and capable of handling whatever comes your way. Now here's the thing about stockpiling protein. You have more options than most people realize. Canned meats are your best friend here, because they combine long shelf life with immediate usability. You open the can and the food is ready. No thawing, no marinating, no complex preparation. Just food right when you need it. A smart target is to put around $20 a month toward protein. That might sound modest, but over 12 months, that's $240 worth of protein building up in your pantry. Canned chicken is one of the most versatile options out there. It works in soups, in wraps, and casseroles, mixed into rice, or eaten straight from the can if the situation calls for it. Canned tuna is another excellent choice. It's lean, high in protein, and widely available at very low cost. But don't stop there. Sardines are criminally underrated in the prepper world. They're packed with protein and healthy fats, they store well, and a single can provides a surprisingly filling meal. Canned Spam has been a prepper staple for decades for good reason. It's calorie-dense, it lasts, and it tastes like something resembling real food, which matters more than you might think when morale is low. The key with protein stockpiling is variety. Don't put all $20 into one type. Mix it up. Rotate through different options each month so you build a diverse protein base that won't bore you to tears if you actually have to eat through it. And when buying, always check the price per ounce rather than the total sticker price. You'll be surprised how much value you can find if you compare carefully. What protein item are you already keeping in your pantry? Think about it for a second, because it will tell you a lot about how well-rounded your current supply actually is. Category 2 is vegetables. Canned vegetables are one of the most practical, most affordable, and most underappreciated components of a solid food stockpile. Fresh vegetables are wonderful, but they don't store. Frozen vegetables are great, but they depend entirely on your freezer running. Canned vegetables require nothing except a can opener, and they'll sit on your shelf for years without losing their core nutritional value. The goal here is to pick up around 30 cans per month. At roughly 60 to 65 cents per can, that lands you at approximately $20 for the month. $20 for 30 cans of vegetables is genuinely one of the best deals in prepping. Now, the variety question is important here too. Don't just grab 30 cans of the same thing. Think about what your family actually eats and what will complement the other foods in your stockpile. Canned corn pairs beautifully with rice and beans. Canned green beans work as a simple side dish that requires almost no effort.
Canned diced tomatoes are endlessly versatile and can transform a bland base of rice or pasta into something that actually tastes like food. Canned mixed vegetables give you a one-stop nutritional option when you want variety without the complexity. Peas, carrots, potatoes, beets, spinach. The options are broader than most people use. Challenge yourself each month to pick up at least 2 or 3 varieties you have not bought before. Over time, you will build a colorful, nutritionally diverse vegetable library that covers your bases no matter what situation you find yourself in. One pro tip: store your canned vegetables in a cool, dry location, away from direct sunlight. Heat is the enemy of canned longevity. A basement shelf or an interior closet is ideal. Rotate your stock by putting newer cans at the back and pulling from the front. This way, nothing goes to waste and your supply stays fresh. Speaking of things that store forever, let us talk about Category 5. Rice is one of the most powerful foods you can have in your stockpile. It is calorie-dense, it's filling, it's incredibly versatile, and when stored correctly, it lasts for an almost absurd amount of time. We're talking decades in some cases. A 25-pound bag of white rice will run you around $15 at most major stores. That's roughly 60 cents per pound for a food that can form the base of hundreds of different meals. Think about what rice can do. It can be the main dish, dressed up with spices, vegetables, and protein. It can be a side. It can be mixed into soups and stews to add bulk and calories. It can be cooked in bulk and reheated throughout the week. Few foods offer that kind of flexibility at that kind of price point. One thing to understand about dry rice is that it does require proper cooking. You need heat and water. If you're in a scenario where your utilities are out, you need to have a plan for that. A camp stove, a propane burner, a wood fire setup, whatever works for your situation. The point is that dry rice is not a grab-and-go food. It's a cook-and-eat food. Plan accordingly. For storage, consider putting your rice in food-grade 5-gallon buckets with sealed lids. Add an oxygen absorber, and your rice can stay shelf-stable for an incredibly long time. If you do not have buckets yet, the original bag is fine for shorter-term storage of 1 to 3 years, but investing in proper containers pays off enormously over time. Category 4 pairs so naturally with rice that we almost have to talk about them in the same breath: beans. Here's a fact that surprises a lot of people. Rice and beans together form what nutritionists call a complete protein. Individually, each one is missing certain essential amino acids, but together they complement each other perfectly, giving your body the full spectrum of what it needs to build and maintain muscle and function properly. This is why rice and beans have been a dietary staple across dozens of cultures for centuries. They're not just cheap, they're nutritionally smart. 10 pounds of dried beans will cost you around $15, depending on the variety. Pinto beans, black beans, kidney beans, navy beans, chickpeas. The options are broad, and each one brings its own flavor profile and nutritional characteristics. Rotating through different bean types each month will keep your stockpile interesting and ensure you're not stuck with 40 pounds of one type when a situation arises. The same caveat applies to beans as to rice. They require sustained heat and water to cook properly. This is not a deal breaker, but it is a planning consideration. Factor it into your overall emergency preparedness approach and make sure your cooking solution is solid before you build a pantry full of foods that need to be cooked. And with that said, let's talk about a food that bridges the gap perfectly. Category 5. Instant potatoes might not be glamorous. They might not be the first thing that comes to mind when you think about serious food prep. But instant potatoes are genuinely one of the most undervalued stockpile items available. Here's why. They require minimal cooking. In many cases, you just need hot water. They have a long shelf life when stored properly. They're calorie-dense and filling, and they're comforting in a way that raw staples like rice and beans are not. When things get hard, comfort matters. Food that feels familiar and satisfying does something for morale that pure nutrition alone cannot replicate. A couple of boxes per month, approximately 3 pounds of instant potatoes, will run you around $7. That's not much for what you're getting. Over the course of a year, that adds up to about 36 pounds of shelf-stable potato products sitting in your pantry, ready to become a hot, filling meal with almost no effort required. Mix them up. Use them as the base for simple meals. Add canned vegetables and a bit of salt and butter powder if you have it. Combine them with canned protein for a surprisingly satisfying plate. Instant potatoes also work as a thickener in soups and stews when you need to bulk up a meal and add more calories without reaching for a separate starch.
Are you starting to see how all of these categories work together as a system rather than just a list of individual foods? That is the key insight here. None of these items stands alone. They interact and complement each other to create a full, varied, nutritious food supply that can carry a family through an extended emergency without everyone losing their minds from eating the same thing every day. Let us move to category 6, because this one surprises a lot of people when they first encounter it. Peanut butter. Yes, peanut butter is a legitimate, essential stockpile item, and here is why you should be adding it every single month. Peanut butter is calorie-dense. It provides protein and healthy fats in meaningful quantities. It requires zero preparation. You do not cook it, you do not heat it, you open the jar and eat it. In a scenario where resources are limited, that simplicity is extremely valuable. Now, there is a shelf life conversation we need to have here, honestly. Peanut butter does not last forever. It's not in the same category as rice or salt when it comes to longevity. But properly stored, a sealed jar of peanut butter will remain safe and palatable for a surprisingly long time. Once opened, it should be consumed within a reasonable time frame. The key is to buy it regularly, rotate it into your everyday eating, and replenish your stock each month so you always have a fresh supply on hand. Around 8 pounds of peanut butter per month at roughly $10 is an excellent investment. That might look like 4 or 5 large jars, depending on the store and the brand. Spread across a family, that provides a meaningful caloric contribution and a protein source that even picky eaters tend to accept without complaint. For families with children especially, peanut butter is often the bridge food that makes a difficult eating situation manageable. Category 7 is one that almost everyone underestimates until they really think about it. Salt. Salt is not just a seasoning, it is a fundamental preservation tool. It's a medical utility. It's a trade commodity in extreme scenarios, and it stores essentially forever. There is no expiration date on salt. The salt sitting in ancient archaeological sites thousands of years old is still chemically the same salt we use today. There's almost no other food item on this list that can make that claim. Basic canning salt or plain table salt comes in inexpensive quantities. You can pick up 12 pounds or more for around $5. That is an almost absurdly low cost for something that important. If you feel like you already have enough salt stockpiled, and it does take a long time to build up to that point, you can redirect that $5 toward other spices and flavor enhancers. Garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, oregano. Flavor variety is genuinely important when you're eating from a stored pantry over extended periods. Blandness is a morale killer. But beyond flavor, think about salt's other applications. It can be used to preserve and cure meat, extending the edible life of fresh protein significantly. It has medical uses, including wound cleaning and gargling solutions for throat issues. It can be used to deter pests in certain contexts. In serious long-term scenarios, salt has historically functioned as currency because of how universally needed and valued it is. $5 a month for something this valuable and this versatile should feel like an easy decision. It's one of the simplest line items in the entire monthly budget, and arguably one of the most strategically important. Now we arrive at category 8, and this one is non-negotiable. Water. Let us be direct about this. You can survive weeks without food. You can survive only days without water. Everything else on this list becomes irrelevant if you do not have safe drinking water available. Water is not an optional category. It is the foundation upon which every other prep rests. The cheapest water storage solution involves picking up basic water jugs from any discount store. However, the cheapest is not always the best. Thin, low-quality plastic jugs are prone to cracking, leaking, and degrading in ways that can compromise your water and make a real mess of your storage space. If you're going to invest in water storage, invest in containers that will actually hold up. Here's a practical approach that costs almost nothing. Large juice containers, the kind that come with fruit punch or juice blends that your family actually drinks, make excellent water storage vessels once they're thoroughly cleaned.
They're made of sturdier plastic than cheap water jugs.
They hold significant volume, and once you empty and clean them, you can fill them with treated tap water and stack them in your storage area at essentially zero additional cost. To treat your stored tap water, the standard approach involves adding a small amount of plain, unscented liquid bleach. The exact ratio has evolved as bleach concentrations have changed over time, so always verify the current recommended ratio from a reliable source rather than relying on an old formula you read somewhere. The principle is simple. A tiny amount of bleach eliminates biological threats in the water and keeps it safe for consumption over an extended storage period. Budget around $10 per month for water. That might mean purchasing one sturdy storage container every other month and filling it yourself, supplemented by filling any clean containers you already have. Over the course of a year, you will build a meaningful water reserve that gives you real security without a major upfront investment. Now, let us pull back and look at the full picture, because this is where it all comes together. You have proteins at around $20 per month, canned vegetables at approximately $20 per month, rice at roughly $15 per month, beans at around $15 per month, instant potatoes at about $7 per month, peanut butter at around $10 per month, salt and spices at approximately $5 per month, water at around $10 per month. Add all of that up and you land right around $102 per month. That's it. That's the whole budget. $102 a month to systematically build a food stockpile that could see your family through weeks or months of a serious emergency. When you look at it as a daily number, that's barely more than $3 a day, less than a single cup of coffee at most cafes, for the peace of mind that comes from knowing your family will be fed no matter what happens. And here's the thing about that number. It's flexible. If $100 is genuinely not in your budget right now, cut it in half. $50 a month still builds a meaningful pantry over time. Even $25 a month is better than nothing. The goal is not perfection. The goal is consistent, progressive action. Every can of vegetables you add to your shelf is a can your family has access to if things go sideways. Every pound of rice stored is a meal that does not depend on a functioning grocery supply chain or an open store. Pick and choose from this list based on what you can actually afford this month. Maybe this month you go heavy on the canned vegetables and skip the peanut butter. Maybe next month you prioritize beans and rice and hold off on instant potatoes. The priority rankings can flex based on your budget without abandoning the overall strategy. The important thing is that you keep showing up, keep adding to your supply, and keep the long-term vision in mind even when the monthly budget feels tight. What would it mean for your family to have 3 months of food stored at home? Really think about that for a moment. Think about the job loss scenarios, the natural disasters, the supply chain disruptions we've already seen happen in recent memory. What would it have felt like to face those situations with a full pantry instead of an empty one? That's what we're building toward here. Not paranoia, not fear, capability, self-reliance, the quiet confidence that comes from being prepared while the people around you are scrambling. Let's talk about a few additional principles that will make your monthly stockpiling habit even more effective. First, consistency beats intensity. Don't try to spend $500 on prepping this month and then nothing for the next 4 months. Steady monthly investment builds a better, more organized pantry than sporadic bulk purchases. It also keeps the financial impact manageable, so prepping never feels like an emergency in itself. Second, eat what you store and store what you eat. This is one of the most important rules in all of prepping and one of the most commonly violated. If you buy foods you don't normally eat, 2 things happen. Your family will resist eating them during a stressful situation when they need real comfort, and you won't naturally rotate through them, meaning they will sit on your shelf aging past their optimal quality, while fresh food in your kitchen gets eaten first. Buy foods your household actually consumes, and then build a deep supply of those specific items. Third, label everything with the purchase date.
This sounds obvious, but it's surprisingly easy to let it slip. A simple marker and a piece of masking tape on each can or package takes seconds and saves you from the confusion of trying to remember which items are oldest when it's time to rotate. Fourth, store your food properly.
Temperature and humidity are your two biggest enemies. A cool, dry, dark space is the ideal environment for long-term food storage. A basement is often ideal. If you live in a hot climate without a basement, find the coolest interior space in your home and dedicate it to food storage. The difference in shelf life between food stored at room temperature in a warm kitchen versus food stored in a cool interior space can be measured in years. Fifth, do not ignore your cooking capability. This connects back to the dry grains conversation we had earlier. Having 500 pounds of rice and beans in your basement is great. Having no way to cook them if the power goes out is a significant problem. Make sure you have a reliable off-grid cooking solution. A propane camp stove with spare canisters is a practical and affordable option. A small wood-burning stove or rocket stove is a longer-term investment worth considering. At minimum, have a clear plan for how meals get made if your normal kitchen is unavailable. Sixth, water purification is as important as water storage. Even with stored water on hand, knowing how to purify water from additional sources extends your capability enormously. A quality water filter is a worthwhile investment. Combined with your stored supply and your knowledge of chemical treatment methods, it gives you multiple layers of protection against the most fundamental survival need. Think about prepping in layers. Each layer you add increases your resilience and reduces your vulnerability. The monthly shopping plan we just covered is your first layer. Proper storage is the second layer. Cooking capability is the third. Water purification is the fourth. Each layer stacks on top of the others, and together they create a system that is genuinely robust. This is how serious preppers think. Not in individual food items, but in systems. Not in one-time purchases, but in ongoing habits. Not in what could go wrong, but in what they can do to ensure their family is okay regardless of what happens. Something worth saying here. The 8 categories we covered today are the foundation, but they are not the ceiling. Once you have a solid baseline of proteins, vegetables, grains, legumes, instant starches, fats, minerals, and water, you can start adding more depth and variety to each category. Different protein types, more vegetable variety, specialty grains like oats or barley, cooking oils and butter powder, vinegar, another remarkable preservation tool, honey, which has an essentially unlimited shelf life, dried fruits, nuts, hard candies for morale and quick energy. The list expands as your budget and storage space allow. You can also start thinking about longer-term preservation methods as your skills and interest grow. Freeze-drying your own foods at home is increasingly accessible. Vacuum sealing dry goods dramatically extends their shelf life. Canning, both water bath and pressure canning, lets you put up homemade foods with years of stove stability. Dehydrating fruits, vegetables, and meats creates lightweight, calorie-dense food options that store in minimal space. Each of these skills adds another dimension to your capability and makes your overall food storage more robust and more personalized to your family's actual preferences. But none of that matters if you do not have the foundation. And the foundation starts with the monthly shopping plan. $100, 8 categories, executed consistently every month. That is the engine. Everything else is refinement on top. Let's review the full monthly plan one more time so it's crystal clear. $20 toward proteins, canned chicken, tuna, sardines, Spam, or whatever combination works for your family. $20 toward canned vegetables. Aim for 30 cans with as much variety as you can manage. $15 toward rice, a 25-pound bag of white rice every month or two, rotating your supply properly. $15 toward beans, 10 pounds of dried beans in whatever varieties you enjoy or want to try. $7 toward instant potatoes, a couple of boxes worth to bridge the gap between the long cooking staples and immediate use foods. $10 toward peanut butter, roughly 8 pounds spread across a few jars. $5 toward salt and spices, plain salt first, then branch into whatever flavors your family loves once your salt supply is robust. $10 toward water, one solid storage container purchased every other month, filled yourself and treated properly.
Total, approximately $102. Adjusted for the reality of grocery pricing in your area, you might come in slightly above or below that number. That's fine. The categories and the proportions are what matter more than hitting exactly $100 to the cent.
If you want to track this properly, consider keeping a simple notebook or a basic spreadsheet where you log what you purchased each month and the running total of what you have on hand. Knowing that you have 60 cans of vegetables, 40 pounds of rice, 20 pounds of beans, and 3 months of protein stored is enormously satisfying. It also helps you identify gaps. Maybe you have been heavy on rice and light on vegetables. Maybe your salt supply is excellent, but you have no cooking oil. The log reveals the gaps, and the gaps become next month's shopping focus. Prepping is a marathon, not a sprint. The people who try to sprint burn out, spend money inefficiently, and end up with a disorganized pile of random supplies rather than a coherent, systematic pantry. The people who treat it as a slow, steady, monthly habit end up with impressive, organized, functional stockpiles that would actually carry them through a real emergency with minimal stress. Which one do you want to be? The choice is made one shopping trip at a time, one cartload of canned goods at a time, one sealed bucket of rice at a time. We are here to help you make that choice easier and smarter every single month. The information, the strategies, the practical tips, the breakdown of what works and what does not at real-world prices. That is what my channel is all about. If this breakdown gave you clarity, gave you a plan, or gave you the motivation to start or restart your stockpiling habit, do us a favor and hit that like button. It takes 1 second and it genuinely helps this content reach more people who need it. More people prepared means stronger communities when things get hard. Your like contributes to that ripple effect. And if you're not yet part of the My Channel community, this is a good moment to change that. We release consistent content on smart, affordable, practical preparedness, and we would love to have you along for the long haul. This is not about fear or doom. It's about competence and confidence. The world is unpredictable. Your pantry does not have to be. Start this month, start this week, even start today with whatever you can afford and whatever fits in your space. Every step in the right direction is a step worth taking, and you will be genuinely glad you started, even if the starting feels small. Keep building, keep prepping, keep showing up for your family. That is what this is all about.